Hello everybody, it is Wednesday, the 23rd of July, and I want really to talk about this age-old question: if the Creator is good, how is evil allowed to be in this world, or how does evil even exist? And for the most part, evil is grown out of ignorance of the Creator, not knowing His fullness. Now, ignorance can cause an awful lot of harm. Doing the wrong thing without wanting to do it, but it can still cause harm. You're still a cause that will cause an effect. In hermetic terms, whether you want to do it or not is neither here nor there, but you're doing it. Evil would be knowing what it is you're doing. Yeah? You are in possession of the knowledge, the fullness of the knowledge, or a great amount of knowledge, and you are using it in the wrong way deliberately. Most times to benefit yourself. That is evil. Evil is doing it with your eyes open. And we have both in this world. We have the absolute ignorance that can be led by evil. That is what's happening in this world at the moment. Those that don't know what they're doing, that are being led by those that know what they're doing and doing it to benefit themselves, those that are evil. Now, as I said, it is our ignorance for the most part that allows evil to thrive. And I'll show you why they have the mastery over you, because they are in possession of the knowledge, which gives them, and they are masters of themselves. That is spiritual mastery. It is the knowledge of the fullness of the Creator, as much as you can get, to what degree you know it, and the mastery of yourself, seeing it in yourself and becoming the master of yourself. Those are spiritual masters. They're not wizards that are conjuring up something outside of themselves, but they are the masters of themselves. I want to show you this here and why. Yeah, they have the fullness of the truth, whilst you are fighting a battle with several hands tied behind your back, which is not going to lead you to win. I've just listened again to Anunnaki. Ra, the law of one, is one of the most toxic teachings that has ever entered this world. It is the destroyer on speed. It is the destroyer of knowledge. It is the destroyer of the truth. Sheep herding sheep into ignorance when they believe themselves to be in the light. And that is really you're being sheep herded into the upper chakras, into the higher vibrations, which is only a fraction of His truth. He is the fullness of all. Everything is Him. The fullness of all is in every single part. Holographic universe. The fullness of His truth is in you. If you reject parts of yourself, you are rejecting Him. What is being taught is like that the opposites, love and hate, yeah, the polarities, that they only exist. So hate only exists so that you know love, because love is the only truth. And hate is not really Him. It does not really exist. That's nuts. Of course it exists. And it does not exist to make the other look good. It is a knowledge in its own right. There is the entire spectrum of the knowledge of Him. He is all. He's love, He's hate, and He's everything in between. This teaching of the law of one, it is like you are out to get a knowledge of the Creator. You are creating yourself in His image. So it is like you're being given all these parts to build a machine that is then the reflection of the Creator. And you build a machine only in the higher chakras, yeah? And you will build something that will do something. Absolutely you will. But you've built that, and then there is a whole heap of nuts and bolts lying there that are pretty much equal to the amount that you have used, and you're declaring that to be nothing, to be spare parts, to serve no purpose. I've built the only truth, and that heap over there is serving no purpose. That is not Creator. There are no spare parts. He is the fullness of all, and only if you have used all the nuts and bolts will you be the fullness of Him. Again, that is such a toxic falsehood. It is a judgment of good and bad that will divide you from the truth, the fullness of the truth of Him, of the Creator. Folks, they create with the Word. The Word is their creative tool. You are letting it in, you do according to it, and it will create you. Because that is what they're creating. They are creating you. They are creating a being. And you will be what you are, and you will do what you do. Not knowing the fullness of the Creator, and you will do wrong out of ignorance of the fullness of the truth. So, that is the first thing why they have the upper hand. Why evil has got the upper hand in this world. Because they have the knowledge of the fullness. Where you're being sheep-herded into one little corner. Yeah? Denying half of the Creator and saying you know the fullness of the light, which you don't. They are in the fullness of the light. And that means they are free. They have a lot more freedom than you have. Operating in the fullness of His truth. That means in the polarities, they can love and they can hate. And everything in between. Because everything is His truth. They are operating in the entire range of the spectrum. And there is no guilt because there is nothing wrong with that. It is the truth. Whereas you are shepherded into just one corner of the spectrum. And as soon as you try to get out of that, you need to beat yourself up in guilt because you have done wrong. You are imprisoned. That is not knowing the Creator, that is being imprisoned in the upper spectrum of the whole. That is your prison. And you're calling it enlightenment and the truth. So they can operate on the full spectrum, which, again, there is a lot more freedom than you have, which makes them stronger because they have that freedom to do that, to be in the fullness of the truth. They are the masters of themselves. They are the masters of their own energies. Again, self-mastery is spiritual mastery. I've just heard anger, or you should, first of all, it's the spare part. It serves no purpose. Yeah, no. Anger serves a purpose. Anger is your reaction to injustice. If there's something unjust, there's something wrong, you react with anger. That is your truth. That is your energy. It is the adversary, Satan. It is the adversary to injustice. It absolutely serves a purpose. And it's been given to you, so you can use it. And the next thing that was that, all it serves is it turns into rage and you run around in the traffic shouting and it serves no purpose. Well, if you are running around in the traffic shouting, means you were not a master of that energy. You should be the master. It is your servant. Yeah, and then saying, well, the best thing you can do is go into an empty room and just let out your rage, and that's what they want you to do. Yeah, just go into a room and vent your rage, let out all of the energy where it does absolutely nothing, where you let it out to no purpose whatsoever. In an empty room, just fill it with rage and that's it. And somewhere they're sitting and laughing their sick ass off, because that energy should have done the works. Yeah? So if there is injustice, you can use the energy of anger to convey the message. Yeah, it is the energy on which you convey the message. And that can range from a very stern voice to shouting. Again, what serves you? If you're in a room full of people that all talk, then shouting might serve you to be heard. But again, you must regulate what it is you're doing in any which situation. It also serves you in the physical. If somebody is actually doing something wrong there and then, the energy, it will give you the energy, the strength to restrain, to again be the adversary to what it is they're doing. And in the process of restraining them, you may well have hurt them, depending on how much they struggle against you. But that should not be the aim. It will happen, it can happen. But that is not the aim. The aim is to restore an order that needs to be restored, maybe even to save yourself or others. You're using the energy in order to save. So then the energy becomes the servant of that intention. And if the intention is good, in order to save, then the servant is good. So using it with the right intention. And that brings you much closer to the truth of the Creator, and where you can actually use all your parts. And they do that. They absolutely do that. They have the full range. They have the freedom of the entire spectrum. And if they are masters, they use it to serve. Again, mostly themselves, not others. I'll come to that in the end, because I think that's where the mistake is. The mistake is, for starters, not in the full range. That is not a mistake. That is the Creator. It is created. Nothing is created that is not Him. There's nothing outside of Him. He permeates everything. You cannot fall outside of His truth. Be in it. Accept it, the fullness. Accept the fullness of Him. They have. So in charge of their own energies, and also in charge of what they are letting in. And that is very important to self-mastery and to self-determination, because you are being influenced by knowledge outside of you, and it is up to you what you let in to incorporate into what you think you are. There you are creating yourself, where you decide what you let in and what you don't. Again, they do that. You could say they are the masters or the Lord of their own kingdom within. They do not have open borders. They do not stand there and open the door to let everything in, and then being moved by one thing or another. Whatever comes in next, it moves you to one. You know, you're running back and forward. Like, that is half the exhaustion of people that are on the spiritual path, and they go into utter exhaustion. It's because you let everything in. And you've been running yourself ragged one way or another. But to have a clear, first of all, intention where you're going, and then only let that in what serves your intention. You are the God of your own garden, and you have flaming swords and angels guarding the borders. They have. So, and then again, you are sheep herded onto the higher chakras. You cannot use the lower chakras, although they do have a purpose. They're not spare parts in creation, but you're not allowed to use them. So, as I said, you're fighting with several hands tied behind your back. But then you come and say, oh, my love and compassion will conquer all. It is the only truth, and it will conquer all. And you know what they do? That. They stand there like that. What does that do? It wards off your energy. That is where their borders are closed. They're not letting it in. Your energy is doing nothing because they have the mastery of themselves. They can open themselves, they can close themselves. Now, I had the thought yesterday that those that stand, that actually use the symbol, I was thinking if they are actually on a lower level of knowledge, because they have levels of knowledge. Yeah? And as long as you're still using the symbols, I think it's like a crutch. You know, something that will help you to focus on closing yourself off. But that's what they're doing. It's not the symbol that is doing that. They are doing it. And maybe if you're a true master, you won't even need the symbol. And then that is maybe one of the reasons why you do not see them. Whereas the lower levels are more obvious because they have to make the hand signals, you know, as a crutch to help them perform that closing yourself off thing. But if you come to the true masters, there will be no signs, there will be no symbols, there will be nothing. They don't need those crutches, they can just do that. Now, up to this point, there is actually neither good nor evil. It is a fact of what is. Yeah, there is neither good nor evil in that. The Creator is the fullness of all. That is a fact. Yeah, and you'd be better to accept facts and work with them than being a bloody wise monkey. There's another toxic teaching, you know, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, you know, and that is enlightenment. Now that is you deliberately closing yourself off from the truth. And then living in that bubble and declaring it to be the only truth. Yeah, at some point your bubble will burst. They will burst your bubble. You're not in the truth. You're not in the fullness of the truth. So all the chakras, all the energies, everything that exists is Him. Everything that is Him can be used for good because He is good. Knowing your energies, using them correctly to create a good outcome is the knowledge of Him. the fullness of the knowledge of Him. No good, no evil, only what you're doing with it. That's where good and evil comes into being. It's not in what is created. And nothing is created as a spare part. Everything has a purpose. And the mastery of self is something that we are capable of. That is who we are. We can be the masters of self. We do not have to be moved like the animal. But we can be the masters of our own energies. We can understand what's happening and we can have self-determination. That is what separates us from the animal. Again, you don't use that. You leave yourself open to everything and they move you then you are not on the level that you should be on, that you can be on. You are not what you should be according to your abilities. They are. And then it's the last point, and that is, what should that serve? What do you do with those abilities? Again, you have come to a higher, that is a higher knowledge. That is higher spirituality. Knowing the fullness. You're being driven into a false light. Sheep herded into just one corner. You're being cornered and imprisoned in that corner. So they are on that higher knowledge. What do you do with that? What should it serve? And here comes good and evil. This is where it comes into being. What you do with what you know. What you are. Now out of the mastery of self comes the knowledge of others. Yeah, you know others by knowing yourself. Know yourself and you will know them. Know it within yourself, you can see it within them. And if you know how to close yourself off and how to open yourself to let something into your kingdom, you can teach them something that means that they are permanently open. And then you can feed them whatever. And that is exactly what they're doing. You are in a state where you're permanently open. And everything that comes will go to the core and it will move you. So to use the knowledge to rule over others, to make yourself the ruler, to make yourself the creator of all, to make yourself the creator of what is, what this world should be. You are not, nobody is the ruler. Knowledge was not given to rule. That's where evil comes into the world. That is the false thinking of the God of the Bible. That is the false thinking of Yaldabaoth. Knowledge is power, and power is being given to rule over and to create whatever you like. Knowledge should be given to serve. Serve what? Again, then you need to see what it is you're actually in. Because there's something here that is created by all, which is, again, a true reflection of the Creator. Because He is all, and what is created by all is His truth. What is created by only the few or only one is not His truth. Because He is all. This world is created by all. Everything that has its being in it influences, gives and receives and creates what is the world as a whole. The mineral, the vegetative, the animals, man. We are all part of the same thing. And the world is not created just by man or just by the powerful ones, but by everything that has its being in it. Everything gives its part to create the whole. Again, there are no spare parts in this. When we do away with parts in nature, in ecosystems, we destroy the balance of the ecosystem. We most likely destroy the ecosystem. Because we've judged something, again, as wrong that was a part of the whole. We do away with it, and then we find out it wasn't a spare part at all. It served a purpose, because everything does. You may not like it, but it is a part of the whole, and it has a right to be, and it should be there. So then, to use the knowledge that you have, to use the understanding that you have, I don't think it's even to influence nature, to influence anything at all. Nature should teach you something, and there's probably a lot more in there that you can learn, about balance, about the rights of all, about what actually creates a world. If you want to be a creator of the world one day, then look how the world is created. There's a lot you can learn, I'm sure about that. Then, really, first thing your knowledge should serve is do no harm. It should serve you to be the observer, to learn without influencing other things badly, because it's only when nature can take its own course that the truth will be revealed. You interfere with what is happening, and it is no longer the truth of the Creator. It is something that you have created, and you are not the creator of all. So the only thing that thing should serve is to be able to stand back and do no harm to others. If you want to create your own world, go into a corner, create in there, create your own bubble if that's what you need, where everything is just as you want it. You're creating your own perfect little world in your bubble. Be in your bubble. If you want a bubble, be in there. But do not create the entire world according to what you want it to be, because you are not the creator of all. And that is the truth they're not seeing. They are in the delusion, thinking that they are the creators of all, that they can influence everything according to their will, and make everything into something that would serve them, because they are under the delusion that knowledge was given to rule over. Whereas knowledge was given to serve. Again, you're creating yourself. And the best way you can serve yourself is not by not interfering, but by learning from that which is created by all, which is the truth of the Creator, all parts. And if you have a world that can create life, sustain life for as long as the earth has done, then you are looking at something that is on an extremely high level of knowledge. And you should learn from it and not elevate yourself above it. Because I really don't think anybody here is on that level. They most certainly are not, because what they create is destructive. It imprisons others, it enslaves others, it is destructive to the world. So they are not on a high level of understanding, but they use it the wrong way, and that again is a kind of ignorance. And it's that ignorance that is creating evil in this world. It is that part that needs to be corrected. Anyway, I hope that made sense, as I always say, and I leave it at that for today. Try to be in the fullness of the truth. The fullness of the truth of the Creator is within you. Accept it. Don't judge it. Don't sheep herd yourself into a corner and call that enlightenment. You are in ignorance. If you're only in the higher chakras, you only know half of the truth. And you will be destroyed, led and destroyed by those that are in the fullness and that use that knowledge in the wrong way. There. I leave it at that for today, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.